the back of your throat. In Ireland, we speak English here, yet all of the Irish learn the Irish language as well. And that Irish language is often quite guttural in its sound. So you'll find that a lot of people utilize the back of their mouths when they speak to you here, rather than speaking at the top and the front of their mouths as they talk. So it's differences in the base language that people speak with as well that's important on how they form the words with the enunciation. And the pronunciation is that combination with accent. Accents should always be a positive aspect of your communication, and almost never will they have a negative effect on you unless you're speaking too fast, and those things will then mean that it's hard for the person to understand you. Okay, that's about it. Let me just check and say, okay, rhythm. Oh, okay. Rhythm is a variation of pace in the middle of the conversation, and we slow down in the middle of the conversation. And make sure that you vary the pace throughout the conversation. It shows that you're interested. The more interested you are